Good morning. I am Big Brown, and I don't know if echoing or if you can hear, or is it too, it's a little echoey in here, okay, all that type of stuff. So like Andy was saying, I'm kind of going over my role right now at Garmin is I kind of do our integrated flight deck retrofit programs along with Scott Price. So we've got like the beach jet, we're doing Citation XL, King Air, where you can rip everything out of the panel and start new. And also kind of do the Part 25 solutions for jets and ADS-B and that type of thing. So what kind of different planes? Is there anybody flying a beach jet, or Citation, Lear jets, that type of thing? So I got a few of those things. So that's where I kind of want to get the feel if anybody's interested in the jet side of the house, and Joe's going to cover more GTNs and functionality there, and our G5s and some of the good stuff there. Lear 55? Okay. That's a tougher one to get solutions for. I don't know, I need to see, but there is things. So, without further ado, well, maybe with further ado, this thing, kind of like I said, I'm just going to do just real quick because I didn't know how many in the pistol world. Garmin's been pretty known for the last 20 years. We're kind of working our way up into the jet world. So it's kind of going to just do a little bit of real quick history of Garmin. I won't spend too much time here. Most of you, a lot of you may know that Garmin came from these two guys, Gary and Min. And that's how they put their two names together, and that became Garmin. The interesting part is these two guys actually came from King Radio back in the olden days, back in the 80s. Gary was Vice President of Engineering at King Radio, and then when he was getting bought out by Honeywell, Allied Signal, all that stuff, they decided to start their own company. So the interesting part is really the roots, both those guys came from the aviation side, and that's probably about 15 to 20% of what we do now is aviation. So as much of what we do, we found out a lot more people have wrists than they do to have airplanes. So it's amazing, like on the fitness, I think a third of our products now, we say it's on somebody's wrist. It's incredible. So those are kind of our five main categories where it does kind of, we're kind of separate divisions, but things do tie in together. From the beginning, I remember in the old days when we started talking about getting touchscreen in the cockpit. I mean, I was with everybody else going, oh, that's never going to work. I'm in turbulence. How are you going to use it? But our president was always big on, hey, touchscreen's the way things are going. You got to have touchscreen. And then now when you start using that kind of stuff, you anchor your hand on the side. You're not sitting there with your hand going like that. You're anchoring it. You put it solid, just like a knob. It's hard to do that way. And it really works. You got to have touchscreen now to do anything. Anything new you see is touchscreen. But that all came from the other markets we were in and going, hey, this is what we're doing in automotive and doing everything else. You got to go do it in the cockpit type stuff. So we do share technologies among our different divisions. And this was a big deal. This was actually just in November. We delivered our 1 millionth certified, not our portables, anything else, but just aviation certified products. Which again, in the consumer side, is a small number. In aviation, is a big number. So, and actually, that is our leadership team. That actually is our president there, and then our executive vice president in charge of aviation, which is kind of cool. So like Phil, the one holding the radio there on the right, that's head of aviation, and again, I don't know how many employees he has under our division now, with all of engineering, marketing, sales, that type of stuff. But the cool part is, when we go on trips, he's the one driving the airplane. We got a CJ2, he's typed in that. We got a King Air 350, he's typed and flies that. So the boss is up front driving while he's sitting back. And then he owns a Piper Lance and a 150, Cessna 150 that he got from his dad. So I mean, it's cool to see even our head is in all divisions. He's an aircraft owner, yet he's, a jet pilot and turboprop pilot too. So, and we get that a lot in the company. A lot of people in engineering and stuff have airplanes, building airplanes, talk airplanes. Something else we do different than a lot of other companies is we're vertically integrated, which basically means we like to do everything ourselves. If you come to the office I'm sitting in, literally all the engineers are just up above my office that design the product. So our design, engineering is all in-house. The manufacturing, all that equipment that's a panel mount stuff is built, 90% of it's in Olathe, Kansas in our office. and the rest of it's in our Salem, Oregon facility with it. So we build, manufacture all our things. All the ads you see is our own in-house kind of advertising agency with it, and even our warehouse and distribution. Right now we're adding a 750,000 square foot building for adding on to our distribution part of the warehouse. So the big thing is, and that was from the beginning, always wanted to have control. And in aviation, that's the biggest thing. Because believe me, we're starting building something, if capacitor's bad and all of a sudden the world's coming to the end, at least you got the process engineering in manufacturing, working with the design engineers. Everybody's right there next to each other. It's not, hey, we got to go over, talk to our manufacturing, off-site. You do it yourself. So if you're ever going to Lake of Kansas, give me a shout. Come by and show you where all this stuff is built. It's pretty cool from the raw boards on up. And when we do these programs like this, it looks simple. Hey, we're just going to throw G1000 in a King Air or G5000 in a beach jet or something like that. It usually takes about 3 or 4 years to do a whole program like that. And then we even set up benches and integrate that whole cockpit with everything else it has. So that's actually, this test bench is a big deal to me because the new product's coming down. It's going to be G5000 Citation XLs for retrofit. And that's the bench on the XL. So it can mimic everything it's interfacing with, plays with, do all the software stuff. Other stuff that goes on behind the scene, you got to make sure if you get hit by lightning or you're flying by a big antenna radiating, that it doesn't get in and mess with our systems. And it's a big thing. I never knew much about it. It's called HIRF Lightning. So high intensity radio frequency, you got to make sure that doesn't interfere with anything. That's the stuff that's behind the scenes you never know goes on. And lightning stuff. So these are our labs for that type of thing. And that's a big deal where you got to prove all that. So every system, everything we do, we bench out the whole thing and start zapping it with that type of stuff, and you have to have all the tests with it. Again, very few companies do that in-house. There's only a few places that can do that type of testing with it. And even when we do integration, hey, how's this stuff work? Like I said, a lot of the folks at Garmin are pilots, but we really do have a simulator lab and bring in different OEMs, different people in the company, and do human factors. So that's actually just around the corner from my office, that lab with it. Then our hangar and doing our certification. So all these STCs, we're under an ODA, which means we can kind of self-certify, but that's not as easy as it sounds to do it. But we do all that in-house. And then there's our facilities. It's in Little Lake, Kansas. Probably the more important side is support. Right now we're running in both AIN and ProPilot. For the last 14 years, we've been rated #1 in support, which is pretty amazing going that many years in a row with it. So some of our competitors make it easier than others, but nameless. So now let's kind of look at ADS-B solutions. So ADS-B is one of those kind of difficult things. It's really pretty easy. All you got to do is transmit out, your GPS position source, once a second or whatever. And it sounds pretty easy. And in most cases it is. If we're going to, find a piston airplane, it's pretty simple. You start getting into a jet, things aren't as simple with it. But, and I've learned in avionics, the answer to every question, if you come to the show, and ask me, hey, I want to do ADS-B, interface this with this, or play with this, can we do it? Now, always the answer is, it depends. There is seldom, especially when you get in the jet world, even in the piston world, it's what's going to be the best ADS-B solution for you? Well, it depends. You want ADS-B, if you want ADS-B out, what do you got on the radio? You have a display it on. You want to Bluetooth your iPad, not. And then on a jet, it's just, is it certified or not with it. So something as simple is not always that simple. So truly, if you don't have a TCAS-2 system, so in a Part 25 jet with TCAS-2, that makes things a lot more complicated. Because you got to have transponders across both ways, saying, hey, I'm going up, you're going down, or opposite. But for most of us, really, the answer is, and Joe, you got to agree with me on that. The answer to most things on ADS-B that's going to make the most sense is these transponders right here, our GTX 335 or 345. So these transponders come in different flavors. So one is it can be panel mounted or remote mounted. So like in my old Bonanza, I got a panel mounted 345. If you don't have panel space, you can remote mount it and use a GTN 750 or something, or 650 to tune it with it, or even a third-party control head. So it can be panel mounted, remote mounted, and you can get it with Bluetooth. So we got the 345, which actually gives you ADS-B in also, or the 335 that just is ADS-B out and meets the mandate on it. So it really can fit in almost all applications. And Joe's probably going to touch on this more. So like the 345, what it'll do, if you have a Garmin panel mount, so a GNS 435/30, GTN 756/50 or whatever, that's going to actually bring traffic and weather in on your panel mount to it. That transponder also has a Bluetooth transmitter in it, so I got my iPad there with my hopefully Garmin Pilot or possibly FliGhT sitting there. I'm going to get my traffic and weather Bluetooth on here. This also has a little mini AHRS inside of it, attitude reference system to it. So Bluetooth out to my iPad is a backup attitude synthetic vision with it. So, or onto a Garmin portable way on that too. So that's why the 345, like in my open Bonanza, I've got it where, hey, it's feeding traffic and weather into my GTN 750, and it's Bluetooth to my Garmin 796, giving me weather on traffic there, and I can still open up my Garmin Pilot and get traffic and weather on it. So truly, that is probably the answer to most of them. And even in a jet that doesn't have TCAS, there's ways to get that in there too, and it's the best bang for the buck. So 345 is usually the best route. Up the street, there's a company, Southeast Aerospace. They did an STC, so you can put that in a multitude of jets with it. So it's great for the later 25, 35, that type of stuff. This transponder, put it in, and it still actually gives somebody to their flight. They get the weather and traffic on their iPad, whether they're in a jet. And it uses a remote control head on that certification. And there's all the different airplanes that can go in with it. And here's kind of an example of if you got your iPad and you got that ADS-B coming in. That's another thing, actually, ADS-B in is good stuff. But here's something that we do, and I don't know, I'm hopefully not taking Joe's thunder away here too, but we do some things, and a lot of people that even have a GTN or have our Garmin Pilot app don't know this. This is one of my favorite things we do right here. See this little green line coming out of the airplane here? With it, we call that target trend or relative traffic. So what that is, I wish I had a picture. I always take pictures of my airplane when you get good intercept. It basically is showing, see, it's hard for me to talk without my hands. Let's say it's showing where you're going to intercept, or based on your current speed, ground track, and their current ground track and speed, where you're going to intercept. So if I was sitting there flying along like this, I'm here, I have an airplane here, you know, where are we going to hit? Are we going to be at the same speed? Is he faster? I go behind. Am I faster? He goes behind. That little green line is going to show you long before you ever get there. Do you see the line coming behind? Or you can actually see, oh, he's going to come 2 miles behind me. If that little green line is going right across you, like it is there almost on that, and that's at a 2 mile scale. So that's a 2 mile scale. That's going to come across. Now, it's 13 people, 1,300 people below me. That's at negative 13. And he's going to come just off my side. Probably a quarter mile, and it's freaking nuts on. So you look way out there, you see guys, 10 miles out, or even when they start calling you on ATC, you got traffic 10 miles away. Usually you forget about it it's closer. First thing I do is go to that page and look, and you see where that green line is. And we sometimes call it relative motion, I think, or absolute. So you want relative, you got a GTN, bring it up with that. It's one of those things, if you turn it on, it'll make sense to you. Green line comes across you, and he's at your altitude. That's you better be watching. But I mean, it's just cool stuff like that we do, and not just throwing your iPad, your GTN, or any kind of Garmin thing. And that's one thing you don't get on FliGhT with our traffic. It'll show the direction the traffic's going, but it won't show where your traffic is relative to you. And again, you get all the VTARs, the weather, and that stuff from ADS-B. So, yes.
You mentioned flight stream. Follow everything we're saying, but what is flight stream?
Okay, good. Good question. So asking what flight stream is. So flight stream is what we call our products to Bluetooth it to you in the cabin.
From the 345.
Yes.
So without flight stream, it's not going to Bluetooth to your iPad?
It depends. So Most of the time it will. In my Bonanza, I don't have to have a flight stream. It comes straight from my 345. It's there. I put this, do this STC back here in the jet. That transponder's remote mounted. There's not enough horsepower for the Bluetooth. So you add the little flight stream 110 to be the Bluetooth connection when it's remote mounted and hidden.
Doing that, the flight stream, just one point, if you get the flight stream, you want to Bluetooth more than just the ADS traffic and weather. You get the little flight stream 510, it fits right in the top of the G1000. So that will pull in ADS-B traffic and weather from the 345, XM weather, XM music from the GL69, ARs from your G500. So to answer your question, if you want to do more than just the traffic and weather, then you would want the flight stream 510. If you want just traffic and weather, like Dave's saying, you can just Bluetooth it to your.
As long as it's panel mounted, you're not remote mounted in the actual point. Have good visibility. And we'll talk a little more about the 510 also. So the flight stream is our kind of connected cockpit way of doing things. So now for a guy that's got a TCAS-2 airplane, and that's where life gets more complicated. This is kind of the answer we have. We use our Garmin transponders, and they can replace a Honeywell transponder or a Collins transponder, put our transponders in. We use this GDL88 for the lost GPS position source, so that keeps somebody, because that's what's so different at Jet. All of a sudden, you've got a universal system, you want to upgrade it to lost, so you do the position source, well, that can be $75,000 right there. Then you go send your transponders in, and that ends up being another, $50,000, and it just starts adding up. So in this case, we're just using our own GPS position source. It doesn't give you a WAS LPV or anything, but you've got a WAS position source for this. The nice thing with our GDL88 is also the ADS-BN that we're talking about Bluetoothing out there. And then the little flight stream to be able to transmit it in the cabin to it. So we work with a lot of the current controllers that are in the jets. So you've got a Collins system in there, a CLT 92 or whatever. You can tune it through your controllers, and really you don't notice anything different, except you're now compliant, and then on your iPad you've got the weather traffic coming in. So different ones that are out there that do have that certification, or like Gulfstream's done it on with our solution on the Gulfstream 150s and the 200s. Butler does it on the Lear 60. Just put the Garmin transponders in, you get ADS-B in on the Bluetooth, and a lot of times it comes in a whole lot cheaper than doing the Collins type solutions. Elliot's done it on the Hawkers, and this one will be a big deal from a price thing that's brand new. They just should next week have STC to be able to do all the Honeywell Hawkers, and it'll tie into the Honeywell systems, and I guarantee that'll come in a whole lot cheaper than the Honeywell upgrade for ADS-B. That helps there. Beach jets, we do a great solution there. Now our ultimate goal on the beach jet is what I got over there. That's a beach jet G1000, and make your avionics look like a new airplane. The Premiers, the Citation XL, XLS, which can go into 10s, and that's also with that Honeywell interface onto it. So, and what some other folks have done, so that's kind of using the Garmin solution there, and it really is one of those things we got to talk individually on each aircraft, what's available, because they're all different. This is kind of the cool one. It's been big in the citation market, and just like earlier, like on the citations, you can put our GTNs in there, touchscreen navigators. Well, that can be your WAS position source, and then tie it in, if you don't have TCAS, with our 335, 345 transponders for ADS-B out, and gives you a lot of bang for the buck. So here's just kind of examples of different airplanes that have put in our panel-mounted units, and again, a fraction of the cost of doing some of the other solutions is Citation 501s, 500s, that way. Here, like on Citation 5, you can actually put our G500, 600, and Joe's showing our new screens here. You can replace the primary flight display, put two touchscreen navigators in here. And Joe's going to get more detail on these, but these will give you, now you got your MFDs, you got your moving map, you got WAS LPV, you got radar, active radar, data link radar, traffic control on the thing, navs, comms, everything in those boxes. Pretty slick. With it, there's a CJ, totally makes sense. Take out the old king stack, put those in, and you add in your charts and weather. Even some folks that interfaced it with the ProLine 21 system, it'll display, these are our Garmin radios on the ProLine displays. It'll give them WAS, LPV. Now they got their charts, weather in the cockpit with it. The citations that have the Honeywell Primus, the Ultra, Encore, Bravo, XL, can actually add the GTNs into it also and play on the Primus display for WAS, LPV, and now ADSB out and all the mandated stuff. Really are getting in more. The Learjets, this is kind of cool. So there's what I was talking about earlier, just there, the Lear. So there's a Lear. I can't tell. Can't read there 25, 35. It's hard to tell looking there. But actually, what a great upgrade there. It gives them charts, weather, radar, maps at a relatively reasonable price. With it. And we got some folks at Signature working on it for the Hawker. Pull out the Primus radios and put that in. We even have them in the ATR 42 and 72, doing that kind of combination for ADSB and for WAS LPV. And that one we really did for FedEx. They were looking for a solution. And again, we come out the most reasonable bang for the buck on it. So that's kind of our ADSB solutions. And again, you know, definitely if you have any questions, ask me afterwards. And then real quick, I don't know if they're right now, because I'll kind of read through it. Is there anybody flying King Air? Anyone G1000? Oh, all right. But, so we might need to hit the NXI slides and stuff with that thing. Well, yeah, you just see it when you zoom in and out, the speed difference with it. So Garmin now, we've got our integrated cockpits. We started, you know, in the 172s and 90 DA40s and stuff, and kind of worked our way up. And it wasn't until about 10 years ago, it was only through manufacturing you could get a Garmin full integrated cockpit with it. Then 10 years ago, we started doing the King Airs with the C90, the 200, the 300, 350 King Airs. And then about 3 years ago, well, a year and a half ago, we got the Beechjet certified with G1000, and now we're working on Citation XL, XLS. And those are where you just go there, rip everything out of the airplane, basically put all new Garmin in. It's really a big deal. Well, here, before I digress, what I probably should do too, because everybody always asks, hey, really, what's the difference between a G1000, a G2000, G3000, G5000? What's the big difference? So between G1000 and G3000 and 5000, whatever, the biggest difference is the controls. So input on the new stuff, the 2003 and 5, is all through touchscreen controllers. Like I mentioned, everything's kind of going touchscreen controllers with it. And the G1000 uses a mechanical FMS keypad, or on the piston airplanes, literally do it on the display, big knob, little knob type stuff with it. So really, it was the data entry is the biggest difference with it. Then the difference between the 1000, the 2000, 3000, and 5000, a lot of it is the name. So what happened, we did G1000, that was in a Diamond D840 or 172, it's in a King Air, it's in a Phenom 300. You know, it just kind of, people didn't like, hey, what's in my 172 is the same thing that's in my jet. So here we kind of broke it down. There's a few differences behind the scenes, but relatively it's the same platform. A 2000 is in a piston airplane with our new touchscreen keypads, a 3000 is in the light jet turboprop market, and a 5000 is Part 25 airplane. But all can kind of mix and match. But relatively, you walk up to them, you're not going to tell that much difference between a 2, 3, and a 5000 platform with it. And it really was kind of a much a name thing. And again, there's some sensors and stuff you need if you're doing oceanic and a Citation 10. We have a few different AHRs and some components behind the scene. But you walk up to an interface, it's going to be really the same. And that being said, even on the 1000, all the stuff you did in a jet or a King Air, really a 1000 or 172 did the same thing. The stuff you just never had before, like flight level changes in the little single-engine piston airplane and stuff like that. All that VNAV, multi-leg VNAV type capabilities. You're probably not going to use them in a 172, but they're there in it, so we really didn't dummy it down. But these are the different platforms we're on. The ones I have in blue are the retrofits versus what comes out of factory. So those are kind of the different ones. So we're on the Citation 10, Sovereign, Latitude, Longitude, the 70. Of course, the one I want to sell, Beechjets, 400 XPs. Oh, and why I am doing it. So these are the 4 retrofits that are available that you can actually upgrade with it. Like I mentioned, the King Air. Cool part on the King Air, that's the best-selling glass cockpit retrofit ever. We're at like 530 right now. 530 of them sold. Well, you're probably averaging 350 to 400,000 in install on something like that. You get out the door. But it changes that airplane. It's phenomenal. I mean, it's a different airplane when you get done and you start looking at weight savings, everything else, it starts making sense. Beechjet's been out a little over a year, and we've done 30 of those so far, been upgraded with it. This one's going to be big. We're doing the Citation XL, XLS program. And then years ago, Cessna did a retrofit for the straight CJs. So and what I'm going to do here is just go real quick what we put in a retrofit on a program. So since the biggest thing I'm kind of promoting now is our Citation XL, XLS, I'm using that, but this really does transfer over to what we're doing on the other programs too. First of all is how we pick an airplane to do it. These certifications take us years and cost us millions of dollars to do it. It's tough deciding. I mean, we sit around for a long time, going through numbers, that type of thing. Probably the number one thing that helps the program get off the ground, and I kind of learned aviation, is there's nearly 700 XLSs. You go with the crowd. You know, it's tough if somebody goes out there and there's, 100 of a model out there. Chances are you're not going to go spend 3 years and, $10 million doing that certification on that airplane with it. And that's kind of one thing I've learned with aviation. It's cool maybe having something that nobody else has, but general use operating, aviation is good to go with the crowd. It really is. You don't want a one-off of anything unless you have something special with it. I mean, that goes with all your parts, your brakes, your tires, your wings, anything else you have, go with the crowd, and more options are always available. I mean, look at a King Air, how many options there are, because there's just so many thousands of them out there. So go with the crowd, and that's one reason what we look at. Are the airframes similar? Did they do major block changes when they go to an airplane? They changed the electrical system here, something that's going to cause a certain issue. We look at that. Is the engines and everything, the airframe well supported? Normally is if it's a big crowd. The big thing is just obsolescence too of these older avionics. It gets stuff. You start looking at a Proline 4 cockpit that's in even a Challenger 604, or it's in a Beechjet, that type of stuff. That those avionics are really pushing 25 years old and 25-year-old technology with it. So just the age and the obsolescence, the same thing on a Honeywell Primus 1000, you're 25 years old on those avionics. Then kind of the value of the airplane is the upgrade makes sense. So those are all kind of things we look at when we're trying to decide, what airframe. And it's a little different than the olden days too. So it used to be that you kind of go, I think it was kind of rule of thumb, 10-15% of the value of the airplane is kind of what you could justify putting towards avionics. Well, that's not necessarily the case nowadays with it. I mean, you do an upgrade like this, it can be, $400,000 to $500,000 on that upgrade. And your airplane, like on a Beechjet, may be only worth $1 million. And you go, well, I put a lot of money in that. That just doesn't make sense. But what you got to start looking at too is, I take that airplane, I got brand new avionics flight deck. I'm no longer paying warranty on that old, avionics on $30,000 a year, whatever. I got the obsolescence, so let's do new paint, interior, new avionics, have low time on the engines. You can have something like a Beechjet for $2 million, low twos. What other airplane would you go replace it with? You go get a Phenom 300. Even the oldest used Phenom 300 is going to be $4 million, $5 million. So it's kind of the mentality, do I have something, does it make sense because I want to keep it and I can't buy anything else better for the money type thing. The same thing's going to happen on the XLs, and the same thing's happening on King Airs. King Airs, it isn't that it's all the late model and that, it's all over the serial number range. I mean, you've got low value ones that have that type of thing, but again, put new engines on it, paint interior G1000 in it. Compared to a new airplane with $7 million when you have, $2.5 in it. So that's where it's kind of, at least me as a sales guy, that's what I'm trying to sell, is that it really, what's the value of the airplane and what's comparable by the time you're done doing some of these upgrades with it. This is something else that's always kind of funny when you start looking at the technology that's in and this is both with Honeywell and Collins on all those integrated cockpits. they're all that early 90s. They were really probably developed in the 80s and early 90s. Most of us didn't even have a cell phone when the avionics were developed there. They're just starting to come out and become popular. And we still had our VCR and our CRT TV tubes, just like you got in your airplane. I bet you, for a lot of you, the only thing you have technology-wise from this era is what's in front of your jet. You know, cockpit type stuff. It's, you know, you might have that TV in the spare bedroom, but that's about it. There's Al Gore with his nice handset back in the day. So when we do these retrofits, again, it's usually a clean slate approach. And a lot of it is we don't really always want to do the autopilot, but you have to because the way they're integrated in, we can't tie into a Collins autopilot integrated or a Honeywell integrated. It becomes a whole system. But the big thing, the front end you look at are the displays. And Joe, again, this is kind of generic across our board, and even the new G1000 NXI that I want to get my Bonanza someday is showing a lot of the same information. I mean, it's wild. You look at this primary flight display, there's probably a little clicker here, I'll hit the wrong thing, get out of it. But there's a lot of data right here on this information when you look at a primary flight display. I mean, first you notice the synthetic vision, you see the beautiful terrain on it, you see a little dot up here. Oh, I don't have my glasses. Which button is the pointer here?
It's on the top.
Okay. Oh yeah, there we go. All right, that helps. Well, except it gets right by my clicker. But right there, like that little yellow dot there, that's traffic. So we'll show the traffic in the 3D synthetic vision with it. Things here, there's my, right there is my winds aloft, winds are 345 to 12, crosswind. On my HSI, I'm peak needles on GPS. This white needle is the localizer that's set up, so it's ghosting my ILS even though I'm still on GPS. Same thing here, I'm navigating down a VNAV path, a vertical nav path, and there's my glide slope needle. And you can do the handoff between the VNAV and then pick up the glide slope type of stuff with these systems. Little stuff, like over here in the corner, my comms tuned in, and we're doing this on GTNs and everything, and I love it. It's just these little stupid things that really help. It shows right there on the thing, you know, it has the frequency and it has PDX power. So when you put a frequency in, again, the GTN, the new TXI stuff, G1000, it'll do what we call a reverse lookup. It's going to label you what those frequencies are. So when I'm taxiing out, let's say I got in from yesterday, I just go look at my comms and go, okay, hey, at number 2 it says, hey, I got, you know, FXE ATIS. There, it's labeled FXE ATIS. It's FXE ground from what I have it the day before. Or you get the handoff, you know, when you do it, you know, you click, and the first thing I do is look and go, okay, it does say, you know, center, approach, controller, Kansas City center, that type of thing. Just IDing that frequency is cool. It's not a big deal, but it helps. So that one's cool. Other things we're looking at here. Well, that's telling me what I've got my ILS 2.2, which was always nice on the G1000 stuff, was, you know, once it's read the Morse code, then we ID the frequency next to it. So it's the same thing as kind of listening to it. We tune the frequencies for you. There's just a lot of data coming in here. And even here on your autopilot controller, I'm on the pilot side, that little left arrow. Path means I'm flying the vertical nav, but I've got glide slope armed, so my ILS is armed and my localizer is armed because those are in white. It's just pretty simple to see all your data in front of you. And again, it can be on our retrofits or our integrated cockpits. Got our multi-function displays, and something I think that's fantastic that we've done since our 195 portables is made our maps all the smart maps. You got a joystick cursor, anything, you pan around the map, move your cursor around the map, you touch anything, it's going to give you more information about it. You highlight airspace, it can tell you what it is. You highlight an airport, press enter, what do you want to know about that airport? It'll give you everything. There's the frequencies there, there's the runways, there's the approaches, there's its current weather, there's its terminal forecast. It's all just joystick on the map, you get all that information on it. So our smart maps are fantastic. I mean, all the data's there. Then on these things, of course, we put all our engine systems and enunciators there too. Everything, like I said, goes through the touchscreen controllers. You start playing with that G1000, start building a flight plan. It doesn't take long. If you use Garmin at all before, it's really easy. Because it doesn't matter if you had a Garmin portable, like a 195 from 20 years ago, or a GNS 430. you can usually, if you got a 430, 530, you go up to any of these things, it'll still make sense. It's still procedure select approach, which approach you want to do. Garmin logic kind of follows. So if you're Garminized, it's pretty easy moving to these. If you're, colonized or Honeywellized, then it's a little more difficult. You just got to kind of look at it, but it's logical the way it's laid out. So, and again, here, I want to go look at my weather or radar. Well, I probably push weather there. I want to bring up TOS. Well, probably hit the terrain button. I want to bring up approach plate. I probably hit the button that has charts on it. So it's pretty darn intuitive. We do have backups. These go just above the MFD. So let's say back here on the touchscreen controller, first we would say you spill a cup of coffee on it, short it out, but these are waterproof, so you can dump your cup of coffee on it. But you drop your hammer on it or take out the display. You do have these backup displays, controllers just above the MFD, and you can do everything with that. Still load approaches, build flight plans, everything there. Autopilot, we do a fantastic job on flying an airplane. We've got all the different, modes, and Phelps mode, that type of stuff. You do all the VNAV, descend vias, arrival type stuff with it. It is impressive on the autopilot. I don't know if you tried to do King Air, but when I used to go out and do demos in our King Air, I could do even 239 knot. At the top right fast, I could do a 90-degree intercepts to an ILS and watch it turn on perfectly to it. It's pretty slick because we know everything, so we'll look at the GPS and start to turn long before the ILS localizer signal is, and then we do the handoff kind of behind the scenes once it's established inbound. Same thing on descents. I mean, you can just come cram that thing down, and I swear, I don't know if you've ever tried just come down 4,000 feet per minute, and you know you're going to blow through, or you're going to all be hunkered down there when that thing rolls out. And does it, and all of a sudden it just rolls out and goes out smoothly. Same thing on climb outs. I mean, we kind of do these parabolic level ups. Because, well, I've got next thing on servos, but our servos we can adjust speed and travel instead of just running a motor back and forth, that type of thing. But it really does start just kind of level out like that. I always say we're aggressive yet smooth when we do things. Just great autopilot with it. And again, there's our servos. And again, there are these brushless motors, whatever that means, I'm a sales guy. But I know you just can't ground power and ground and run the thing. You keep giving it a signal to move it, and how much to move it, and that. So theoretically, you should never have a runaway trim or anything on the system. You couldn't just, put power and ground and run that motor with it. All these systems come with our radar. We kind of take a different approach to radar. You get our base radar, which is really good, and then you can start adding features to it too, like ground clutter suppression, so you can take the ground out once you get it in the map, so you know you're just looking at weather or turbulence detection and some other things we're adding to it. Audio panel, how excited can you get on that? But again, it doesn't matter if it's retrofit and this integrated. We do all kinds of things like playback mode, which again, it'll play back the last ATC transmissions, which comes in handy. Where I use it a lot is, I do that handoff, nobody answers, did I dial the frequency right, before I switch back, and hey, did I get the right frequency, I'll go back to playback, listen to see, hey, did I get the right frequency on the handoff type stuff. Or if it can be fast enough when you're sitting there talking, and then they call and go, "Tap for us," you try to do that, you gotta be quick on it. We kind of limit our box count too, so we've got one box, it's our GPS nav pump with it. Again, it's great. You ever use the touchscreen controllers on doing the frequency entry? I thought when I went to our G10s I used the knob. Never. Just entering a frequency in is simple, and it's nice too. You don't have to enter in the you don't have to enter the 1 or a 0 at the end. So like right here, all I'd have to hit is 187, and then hit transfer. So say contact somebody or whoever on 118.7, you just hit 187 transfer. Boom, the frequency's in there. 2 seconds. So that is nice on the touchscreen. Again, we come with our air data computers, that type of stuff with it. We do happy boxes so we can read all the enunciation and cast messaging in it. Then of course the data link weather, which is just fantastic on XM, which I'm sure probably almost everybody in here has. It flies much with the things. And again, our panning on the map, you highlight anything, it tells you what the weather is there. TAWS, so we got TAWS A, TAWS B on all our systems. The cool thing is I got synthetic vision here. like there, that little flight path marker shows where you're going to go. It's showing me going into the hill that's turning yellow. So instead of just the olden days, terrain, pull up, you got your synthetic vision, you got your regular TAWS map here. Looks a whole lot different than they did, 15, 20 years ago with the big blocks on and stuff. With it, and you got it yelling at you, pull up, you see it in synthetic vision, you see it on your terrain map. So hopefully nothing happens. Then as exciting as it can be, two transponders, and then you do your transponder code off the touchscreen interface with it. Then we do some kind of option. So this one's actually kind of cool just to show for general thing, synthetic vision is a gimmick or not. It's like right here, one thing that's awesome, probably I like more than running in terrain or anything, synthetic vision, is this little thing right here called the flight path marker. That's always projecting where you're going. Once you're on an approach and you're heading downhill, that should always be sitting on the end of the runway. Even if you're doing a visual approach, just put that on at the end of the runway, that's where you're going to end up with it. So that's one more thing telling you it's kind of right for the world. But it's kind of the difference there. There's no synthetic vision or that. It's kind of, you start looking at that going, that's a lot warmer, fuzzy feeling when you're coming in. Really, it's probably more our approaches than it is even flying around the mountains. I like synthetic vision. Another feature that's new, coming in more and more products, is what we call surface watch. So we've always had safe taxi, we show you the taxiway diagrams, that type of stuff. But now we're kind of adding on to the taxiways and stuff. In the FMS, it's actually asked you what runway you're going to use. It's going to highlight your runway you're taxiing out to with it. It's another NXI feature. And it will have little things like this. So right down here, if I'm taking off on too short a runway, it's going to start screaming, I get the runway too short message right in there. But also, when I pull onto a runway, it's going to say, hey, I'm on remaining runway on runway 9, it's 4,400 feet left. Same thing if you're taxiing along, it tells me there on taxiway Mike, approaching taxiway Mike 1 in 610 feet. So it kind of gives you progressive taxi as you're going along to the next taxiway diagram, get your runway lengths. If you're coming into land and you're on a taxiway, it'll tell you you're doing a taxiway landing. Nobody would ever do that, nobody famous at least. And then you got check runway. If you're taking off on a runway that doesn't line up with what you had in your FMS, it'll do that. So we're going to add surface watch to it. Then as ADS-B becomes more prevalent, you're going to get that too, because you're going to see all the other aircraft taxiing where they're at. So this that's a nice deal. And some other stuff we do with our autopilots, and we even do with our smaller airplane autopilots now, is underspeed protection. If the airplane's about to stall, we won't let it stall on autopilot. So you pitch up too much, go into a stall, it's just going to pitch down and keep the airplane flying. So that's not really a big deal in a jet, because I don't hear too many guys, just stalling it out. Where it is nice is we feel comfortable keeping the autopilot coupled on the go-around, since we won't stall the airplane out. So now when you hit a go-around, if you have this feature, you go around, the command bars go up, normally your autopilot disconnects. Here the autopilot stays connected. If you don't have power, it's going to pitch up, it's going to stall, and we'll fly into the ground, so you just won't stall straight into the ground. But it's awesome. You just hit the go-around, command bars go up, the airplane starts to climb out, you just add your power, flaps, gear flaps, whatever you're doing there. Then if you want to do the published mist, you just hit nav on the autopilot controller and you're done. Whatever the mist approach procedure, it's going to fly. If it's climbed to 1,000 feet, then turn left heading 230, intercept whatever radial and go out and hold. You just sit back and watch it. At 1,000 feet, it's going to do the turn and do everything. But so that underspeed protection is cool because it gives you something to go around without disconnecting the autopilot. Here's what Joe was talking about earlier on the Flight Stream 510. And I've got this like on my GTN 750. This little card looks just like our normal little SD cards that we always have on it. That it actually has in that card, besides the memory, it's got a Bluetooth receiver, transmitter, and Wi-Fi. So the Bluetooth is like Joe talked about, it's gauge your weather, your traffic, your AHRS information. You can take flight plans from your iPad, transfer them back and forth with the system. All that data is going back and forth between your iPad and your the Wi-Fi part of that card is awesome because that's how we update the databases. You got your Garmin Pilot, like I get every month. My database is updated on my iPad every month for my GTN 750 in the airplane. I go out to the airplane, it says, hey, connected to the Wi-Fi through that little card in my GTN, and I just hit download. It takes like 5 to 6 minutes. and I've got all my charts for the US in there, my nav database, my obstacles, my safe taxi, all do it in a matter of minutes via the Wi-Fi card in that card. So it's pretty amazing. And again, it looks just like a regular little SD card. So on the Excel, we're packaging all those features together. That's all I have there. And you can do depth charts, things I was talking about, the turbulence detection, added radar features. We're actually coming out with a really cool new radar called the 80 that is like a 3D volumetric scan. Basically, there will be no more pointing down, aiming, or anything else. It looks at the whole picture automatically, kind of like the TV stations do. It's doing the whole shebang. And normally it's going to start out there, but I'd eventually guess that you're going to see kind of like they do on the news, where you can start getting that 3D image type thing coming down. So it's always cool, the different stuff we're doing. Here's one I wish we had for retrofit. This is, we also make an Iridium phone, which is actually pretty cool, that you can dial through your GTN, through your integrated cockpit, through your G1000, G5000. Our phone ties into it, and you can sit there and text from it. With the Garmin Pilot app, you can text from the Pilot app through it. And then there's the GDR66. This is our digital radio, so you can get from the whole CPDLC for the domestic clearance delivery things. Right now, that's only going to be available on our integrated cockpits. I'd love to see this be available for our GTNs. But this is how it's going to be. You're sitting in Teterboro, you want to get your clearance. They just basically text you your clearance. You hit Wilco over there, and then it'll put it in the flight plan, and you got it. And while everybody else is waiting to give it clearance delivery, you taxi off. So we do have that available on our integrated flight decks, and still a ways out to having it on the GTNs, but I'd love to see it there. So if you have it over here with the awesome have GTNs, that'd be one more added thing. Get domestic data comm. And we do things like this, so this is cool. So like even on the XL. So if you lose a display, this is partial panel, which you're looking at right now. So you can take a hammer to two displays. So partial panel is all your between that slider is right here. You got your engine instruments. It's quicker than you got your full moving map, and you got your full attitude, airspeed, everything with it. So, and that's even things like on the jet, like on the XL we're doing, the Primus, if you go and you go to eMerbus, you have an emergency, it shuts off everything but your little standby. You got a G5000, it's going to keep the pilot primary flight display and the NFD going with it. It's really a non-event, totally different ballgame, because these things suck up so much less power than the old CRTs. Then we do on the G5000 and 3000, here's another thing that is different on them, we do all the split screen modes. So we can split screen the primary flight display like here, bring your charts up, you can split screen the PFD. So it's pretty cool, you can have up to 4 multifunction displays, or you can just have one big multifunction display and 2 big primary flight displays. But you can mix and match, the co-pilot gets 2 panes and the pilot gets 2 of the panes to go from. Something we're adding is the HSI map, that's on the NXI now too. So you can actually, your HSI, have a moving map with your traffic, terrain, whatever you want on there. There's terrain on the moving HSI map. So that's just inset into the HSI. And again, this is kind of one of those things, it's just some little things that are kind of stupid, but it really helped. Right here, you can preset your Baro. So you're coming downhill through, 18,000. They'd say, hey, Fort Lauderdale, altimeter 3010. You set it usually somewhere else or do that. You set it there. And it puts the new altimeter setting there, and then you just push on the Baro knob, and then it puts that 3110 from 2992. So just little things that make a difference. And we do, of course, have all the ability now on all our products to build your own holds, left-hand patterns, right-hand patterns, inbound to outbound. These integrated cockpits, so you can put PDFs on there, so you can put all your manuals in the display and bring up your manuals and one of those NFDs with it. So, and the big thing is too, we always save them. Usually on these installs, we save 200 to 300 pounds that comes out of an airplane with the new avionics compared to the old. The other one that always gets people, if you've had jets or ever had to deal with changing a Collins display or a display on your Honeywell system, is the price. So these are our prices today. If you had a non-warranty display failure or component failure, So one of our big 14-inch displays on the G1000 is $3,100. And I bet you if you replace one on your Primus or your Collins system, you're $20,000 plus to do similar. If the controller there on your FMS controller went out, oh man, it's like $1,600. I bet you're not doing that on the current one. I would guess we're almost near a tenth of the cost of repairs and stuff later on. I think that helps us with our #1 rating is just, you know, when you go spending a King Gear, if you lost a display, it's $1,400. And if you lost even the old EFS 85 display, it was probably $15,000. So maintaining is a fraction of the cost. And I do believe we increase the value of an aircraft when you do it. You may not get 100% out of it of what you spend, but I bet you get 75% out of it. And I bet you a G1000 King Gear moves long before an EFS 85 King Gear does. So it's faster. And again, our weight reduction, this is kind of an example of our XLS that we're doing. These are pictures I took a couple weeks ago when we're doing our certification on it. I mean, that's how long we're down. We're going to pickle the engines next week and start engine runs on this thing. But just designing and doing that install, it's been down for 6-7 months now, this program. They're big, redesigning the whole thing. But it's cool, it transforms it. Looks like a brand new airplane when we're done, like it came out of the factory. This just shows if somebody wants to do ADS-B with our transponders now, that can be deducted off their G5000 later with it. And we have incentives. So that is a not so quick, down and dirty on our Part 25 side of the house.